at the end. So let's go ahead and get started. So Hotel D, we've been open just a bit less than a year now. Just a few months ago, we were accepted into Relais Chateaux, which is a big honor for us. So that's the one association that Hotel D has joined. It's not part of Virtuoso. It's not part of Signature Ensemble or anything at the moment. We are just part of the Relais Chateaux Hotel Association. To begin with Lima, I kind of want to set the stage about why Hotel D is such a timely hotel opening in the city. Obviously, tourism is huge to South America, and particularly Peru. The majority of people are on their way to Machu Picchu. Everyone passes through Lima, the capital city, on their way to Machu Picchu, Cusco, Lake Titicaca, anywhere else in the country. So most people do spend at least a night in Lima. In the past, Lima really wasn't hot on traveler schedules. It was more so kind of a forced overnight due to the flight connections. People didn't want to spend time in Lima. It didn't interest them. And, to be honest, I lived in Peru for 10 years, and in the past, Lima was not the prettiest of cities. A lot has changed, particularly, I'd say, in the past 5 years in particular. Lima's really gotten out there on the international scene for travelers due to main thing is probably the culinary aspect of it. Peru's known, for one of the best gastronomic destinations in the world. We have really famous Peruvian chefs that have gone famous, that have opened up restaurants around the world. So Peruvian cuisine is super hot, and everyone knows that one of the best places to experience the best restaurants in Peru are in Lima. So a lot of people are choosing to stop over in Lima for the culinary aspect of it. On top of that, it has incredible architecture. It's kind of a very large, sprawling city, but there's these little pockets of wonderful colonial Republican architecture throughout the city. It houses some of the best museums that Peru has. A lot of the archaeological and historic collections in Peru are actually not in Cusco. They're not in Juliaca, not in Arequipa. There are small collections there, but some of the best museums in South America are actually in Lima itself. And then the Peruvian economy has just been absolutely going ballistic the last 10 years or so. So much international business has come to Lima, so it's really put it on the map. It's really attracted a lot of artists as well. So now Lima, we're seeing it's a place that people want to stop and spend some time in on their way, to other parts of the country. For hotels, everyone for a long time kind of complained there wasn't really anything super exciting in Lima in terms of boutique hotels. We have a lot of large, international chain hotels there that serve the purpose, but there wasn't really a new boutique hotel that really reflected this new, modern, trendy, hip side of Lima that people are coming to experience until Hotel B opened last year. So Hotel B stands for Barranco. Barranco is the neighborhood in which the hotel is located. So we're looking at a map right now of Lima itself, and I just want to, for those that haven't been there, kind of put this into perspective, and also for those that have been there, it'll make more sense. At the top, we can see where the international airport is, which is near the large port area of Callao. So all the international domestic flights are coming into now that airport. One thing about Lima, there's really not great hotel accommodations around where the airport is, mainly due because you're in a port area, and like a lot of port areas around the world, they're not the safest or prettiest of places. So there's not many hotels around there. Most people are driving down to Miraflores, which is, you can see it kind of on the bottom portion of this picture, you can see Miraflores. That's where the concentration of more high-end hotels has been in Miraflores and San Isidro over the years, because they're safe parts of town. They are the more upscale parts of town, and that's where the concentration of the high-end hotels has been. Being safe and all that, another thing that goes with it, like any place like that, is globalization. I mean, I feel like nowadays you go around Miraflores and you could be in any city in the world. Unfortunately, you go down the main avenues there, and there's Kentucky Fried Chicken, McDonald's, there's, all these chain stores that you find everywhere around the world. So it's a safe place, but it doesn't really reflect what is really cool about Lima. Downtown Lima, up there on the top right, is kind of where the main plaza is in Lima. The historic part of town, most people will go and visit there. But it's in these southern beach suburbs of Miraflores and San Isidro is where people are staying. The shaded area at the very bottom, that is the neighborhood of Barranco. It's one of the smallest of around 37 neighborhoods that make up Lima. And it's just adjacent to Miraflores. So a lot of people say, okay, Barranco, I've heard about this, it's a hip place to be, but how close is it to Miraflores? We're just adjacent to Miraflores. So if you got in a taxi right in the middle of Miraflores and said, take me to Hotel B in Barranco, it would be under 5 minutes between Miraflores and Barranco. In terms of transit time, it's really not much different. Again, maybe 3 to 5 minutes additional of a transit time when going from the international airport to either Miraflores or Barranco. What's so unique about Barranco? This is a really amazing neighborhood that's really seen a revival lately. Back at about the turn of the century, Barranco was way out there from Lima, and this was an area where the very wealthy, individuals and families, the aristocratic society in Lima had their beautiful beach homes. These huge, huge mansions built in colonial and Republican-style architecture were built in Barranco, and it was their getaway spot for the weekend. So right about the turn of the century, it was a booming time, and that is the same that goes with the hotel. I'll talk a bit more about the history of the architecture there. But this is a very well-to-do area, and then later on, maybe into the 40s and 50s, kind of during the agrarian reform in Peru, this area really fell into disrepair. People didn't have their seaside homes anymore. They couldn't maintain them, so you had these beautiful, beautiful old mansions that really went into disrepair. And then into the 60s and into the 70s, there was a lot of the kind of, counterculture creatives in Lima that were all of a sudden drawn to Barranco. And they did this because they had these huge mansions or casonas that were lying vacant. They were huge open spaces in a really neat neighborhood that was kind of downturned. And they used them as artist space and studio space. So that's what kind of gave birth to the modern Barranco nowadays, is that this kind of counterculture moved in, particularly the artists, the bohemian society, and turned Barranco into this more trendy spot that it is today. And that's right where we're located. So it's a really unique neighborhood. You don't find these big international chains around there. It's a very well-preserved neighborhood. Incredible architecture. This is just some pictures of the overlooking the ocean down along the Malecón, or the walkway there, of the main library area. There's the old streetcars. They have a great preserved section of track there, so you can really kind of get a sense of what Barranco was like in its heyday at the turn of the century. And then due to the present-day modern interest in Barranco, nowadays it's mixed with some great modern sites. You have things like this building down on the bottom right is the actual Lima, it's called the MAC, or the Contemporary Museum of Art. That's a short walk from Hotel B. The one at the top, you've got the Museo Pedro de Osma, which houses the best collection of colonial art in Lima. Up on the top left, you've got really amazing boutique shops there, like Dédalo, which is on the same street where Hotel B is. The picture in the left middle is the Lucia de la Puente Art Gallery, which is exactly adjacent to Hotel B, and that's kind of the spot if you're a Peruvian or a Latino artist. If you can get shown at Lucia de la Puente, it really puts you on the map. So it's a great neighborhood of the old, mixed with a lot of new that's come into the neighborhood because of people's interest in that. So just looking at the neighborhood, this is just the Barranco district isolated on the map. You can see where Hotel B is, kind of right in the left center. You'll see a B, and all these little icons around here are art galleries, museums, great little outdoor restaurants and bars. So it's a fun neighborhood. This is not large. I mean, you could walk from the north to south end of Barranco in about 10 minutes. So it's a great neighborhood to explore. I mean, just being in Hotel B, you can head out, not really have to drive around anywhere in a car, and see a lot. In the evenings, especially, Thursday night through the weekend, you have all these little art gallery openings with wine and cheese up and down the street. It's also a very safe neighborhood, and one of the reasons for that is right where Hotel B is, the street we're on, Saez Peña, is also full of all diplomatic residences. We have the Spanish ambassador's home next door. The Australian ambassador lives on the same street as well, so there's a lot of security. And because it's more and more importance for tourists, obviously the tourist police have really good coverage in the neighborhood. So it's a very safe place to walk around, and just a fascinating neighborhood to be in. Getting into Hotel B, when this was purchased by the Andean Experience Company, who are the current owners and managers of the hotel, it was an abandoned mansion. It was built in 1914 originally by a very famous French architect. It had two prominent families that owned it throughout the years, and then it was literally abandoned. I mean, there were squatters living in the building when it was purchased by Andean Experience. And their idea was to take this beautiful historic home, restore it, using the best practices possible to really keep as much of the original building as possible, but also turn it into a modern, five-star hotel there. The idea behind remodeling it, the experience, kind of the vibe, you could say, that we were looking for, is we wanted to have guests staying there kind of touch on or feel what it would have been like to come to Lima at the turn of the century, kind of the golden age of travel. You arrived off a steamer after transiting around Cape Horn and pulled into Lima, and have this whole new world to discover. So that's kind of this magic realism that was everything that's gone into the design and details of the property. So you can see here just some little detail shots of the interior of the building. And you have a lot of the classic period details of the turn of the century mixed with a very modern element as well. And then even the building as well, all the wrought iron, most of the wood, most of the main architectural details were kept intact, while adding, modern amenities like these big soak-in bathtubs and heated floors and Wi-Fi, et cetera, et cetera. So what I want to do for this hotel, it's a very small property. What I want to try to recreate here is that since we can't be there right now, we're all meeting online, I want to take you for a little walk through the property, kind of a site inspection if you were visiting Hotel B for the first time. So we're going to go ahead and walk inside into the first floor and into the reception area. So this used to be the main living room, entertainment area of the historic home, and this is now the check-in area. So it's very small, very intimate check-in area. It's called an art boutique hotel because that is one of the main elements inside, since we are in the artistic bohemian neighborhood of Barranco. All the art that you find around here is all from local Peruvian artists, some from outside of Peru, but this is an example here in the main reception area. You can see some detail of some of the art, and you're going to see art throughout this presentation of the inside of the hotel. Just off of the main reception area, this is La Biblioteca, the library. This is an area where we wanted to kind of have the feeling like a turn-of-the-century explorers club where, people that were arriving here were meeting other people from around the world. So this is where breakfast is served. It's a very small space, beautiful breakfast buffet, and eggs done to order, everything in the morning. And then we also do a tea time here, a traditional tea time in the afternoon between 4 and 5 p.m. So, guests get together here in the morning, talk about what they're going to do, what they did yesterday, share their experiences with one another, and then again in the evening when people are coming back to the hotel, most of the guests tend to gather here in the library to kind of share their experiences. The building, there's the old traditional historic portion of the home, and then we constructed a new annex as well. We needed that for building codes and also to add more rooms. So we're just a 17-room property. There's 10 rooms in the old colonial portion of the building, and then 5 in the new modern portion of the building, which also includes an elevator. In between those two, there's a wonderful little open-air courtyard and patio here, so during the summertime months, most people here gather in the evening as well. So we're going to go ahead and, I skipped the restaurant for now, which is on the first floor, because I'm going to talk about that at the end, but let's go ahead and climb up the staircase onto the guest level, onto the second floor, and have a look at some of the rooms here. So when you walk up into this, again, it's a very non-traditional hotel. This is, an old historic house, so we wanted to reflect that people feel at home here. So when you come up from the reception area onto the second floor, where the rooms are located, there's great, beautiful kind of foyers or little living room spaces where these doors off of this main area are doors to the individual guest rooms. But guests often will sit here and read a book or catch up with other guests here. And again, you can see the detail of the art of the property, which is a prominent feature throughout. So I'm going to go through, we have 3 different room categories. We have the studio, the junior suites, and then the suites. So we're going to talk about starting out in the more basic rooms. These are the studio rooms. We just have 4 of these. They're the smaller rooms. We also, one of these rooms is available for handicapped access as well, which is on the first floor, so it doesn't involve any stairs or elevator. These rooms on average around 200 square feet. So I'm going to show you a couple pictures of what these studio rooms look like. This is one actually on the second floor in the old portion of the building. And then this is one of the rooms in the newly built annex of the building that connects onto the old portion as well. Going up from that, the largest number of rooms that we have in a category are the aposento or the junior suite rooms. We have 8 of these, which are again spread between the contemporary wing, between the old portion of the building and the new portion of the building. Again, with these room categories going up, you're gaining about anywhere between 40 to 80 square feet. Every room in Hotel B is unique. It's different. Not one room is alike. All the art's different. The layout of them is different. So it's really intriguing property. We have a lot of guests that are saying, "Oh, I want to see your room. I want to see your room," and they're kind of showing off each other's rooms. So again, these are some of the junior suites we're looking at here. This one again in the old portion of the building, the colonial portion of the building. You can tell by the glass doors leading out to the balcony. And then this is a room in the newer portion of Hotel B. And then lastly, the suites. These suites are all on the second story of the historic portion of the building, and really kind of the most amazing rooms you can find here in Lima. Again, each one is different. This is room 222, often a favorite of guests. And this is the bathroom for 222 as well, so extremely large rooms. Some of them are looking onto the inner courtyard patio, while others are actually facing the street and have their own little private balcony as well. So this is another room. I think this is room 200, which again is facing the street, has its own little private small balcony. And for example, this room is the only room in Hotel B that has its own private steam room and sauna right there in the middle of the room, which is a really unique aspect. So a lot of people come and request this room specifically because they like that, whereas others just want more space and don't care about having a sauna or steam room in their guest accommodation. The dining area of this hotel, what we wanted to do, we wanted again for this not to be just for international tourists. We wanted locals to be in the property as well. Barranco is a really happening nightlife spot. We paired up with Oscar Velarde. He's one of the most well-known chefs in Lima, in Peru. Not as much international, but the restaurants, for those of you that have traveled around Peru before, you might have eaten in. His most famous restaurant in Lima is called La Gloria. It's in Miraflores on Atahualpa Street. And then he also is involved in Chicholina up in Cusco as well. He was kind of the menu advisor for there. So very well known in Peru. We went to him, and basically the restaurant at Hotel B called El Comedor is a signature restaurant by Oscar Velarde, and he's there, I would say most of the nights it's open, behind the bar and mingling with guests. Another interesting thing we can do with the dining there at the restaurant is that it's directly adjacent to Hotel B. We have Lucia de la Puente Gallery. We have a strong connection with that gallery. They're actually the art consultants that choose the art for the hotel. We can arrange private dinners for guests or events. If you have larger groups that are coming to stay there, we can actually cater meals or special dinners right inside the art gallery to have a really unique event space to cater meals for. But the restaurant itself is very small. It seats maximum about 35 people. The bar and restaurant is right off of the lobby of the hotel. This is open to the public from about 11 a.m. until close. So what's nice about it is that you have a lot of the who's who of Lima and Barranco that come here to have drinks before they're going out to art galleries or having dinner, or coming here after art galleries to have a meal. So, unlike a lot of these international hotels, when people go there, it's all foreigners in the hotel. Not a lot of people are speaking. What's nice about this is that it's a great mix of locals plus international visitors alike that are in this hotel. It's a very lively kind of neighborhood bar and restaurant feel where people are moving chairs around, joining tables together. So we have endless stories of visitors from the UK, Australia, the States, Canada that are here and meeting locals. And the locals around here, most of them all speak great English because they're the businesses they're involved in. They're very excited that people are coming to experience Peru. They want visitors to have a good time. So we found this is just a wonderful meeting spot. It has a really good energy of this mix between locals and international visitors alike in the restaurant, kind of sharing enthusiasm for Peru. Local people giving visitors tips, having them try some of the little tapas that they've ordered. So it's just a lovely, lovely experience and feel in El Comedor. Most of our guests say it's one of the highlights there is just having that restaurant on site. They meet interesting people, trying amazing food by Oscar Velarde in a very kind of unpretentious atmosphere. So definitely a huge highlight there. In terms, this has been asked before by people, is that since it's open to the public, what about getting a table? When you're booking Hotel B for guests, you can go ahead and request a reservation during your booking process for those guests. But regardless, when guests come and check in, if you haven't done that ahead of time, the front desk always gives priority to hotel guests. So whenever guests check into Hotel B, they're going to be asked by the front desk staff and the concierge there if they would like a reservation that night or any other nights that they're going to be staying there. So there's always a table for guests here at the hotel. And also it's the type of place that locals don't really make reservations as often. They kind of just stop in here. So that's been asked before about the availability for tables for guests, and yes, the guests of the hotel do get priority in reservations. So to sum it up, obviously people want to know what are the rates here. What I'm showing you now are the current rack rates for 2014, which we're going to maintain for 2015. So as you can see, the starting out rooms at a rack rate are at $450, going up to the suites at $700. But of course, all of us that work in this industry know that rack rates are often never the case. You're looking at best available rates. And so what I did, just to kind of put this into a more real-time perspective, is I added kind of the other hotels that are in the same category as Hotel B in Lima. Those would be the Miraflores Park, the Country Club, the West End. There's some few others that we could probably include in there, like a Marriott. But wanted to kind of put this together to show a difference here. And what I did is I actually went yesterday online to each of these properties and tried to make a reservation for October 1st, and then wanted to show what the best available rates were reflected for each of these properties. So you can see just the size of the top properties in Lima, Hotel B being very small compared to the other hotels that would be in the same category, and then looking at what the more entry-level room cost, or the best available rate of a room cost would be versus what the top suite would be at the property. So this kind of speaks for itself. You can draw whatever conclusions you want from it, but I thought it was really good just to put it, rather than looking at rack rates, but looking at kind of real-time best available rates for a specific date on there. So that's it, short and sweet. We do have, if you go onto the website for Hotel B, which is a hotelb.pe, you go on there, we have a travel professional site. It doesn't, you don't need a password or anything to get in there. We have wonderful fact sheets. There's a great little video we just produced there. We've got the presentations, everything for you there, and super active on social media as well, so please like us on Facebook and Twitter. I'm going to follow up with all of you that have joined the webinar today with kind of a summary. I'll go ahead and attach the presentation as well, plus attach the fact sheets, the rack rates, etc. And then, again, please, if you do have questions or comments to make about this, go ahead and enter them into the chat pane now. And I will, again, in my follow-up, include a list of all the questions and comments made during the presentation, and I'll answer them one by one so everyone has a complete record of that. So I'm going to leave this running here for the next 5 minutes, so if you have thoughts that come to mind or questions that spring up, go ahead and pop them in there, and I'll follow up with you all shortly. And again, thank you very much for joining us here today.